Hey guys, welcome back to another how to paint video with K7 Paints. And now I'm going to show you how to paint energy shields or energy effects for any model of your choice. In this video, for an example, I used Tau shield drones to paint this effect on. This works great, especially for playing on the tabletop. It helps you distinguish between the different drones from looking at the top, from the gun drones, the sniper drones and shield drones. Since it's pretty hard to see at a distance when you're playing. Overall, it's a pretty fun technique to try out, and it only involves around 4 colors to achieve this look, which is pretty good. There will be slight freehanding involved as well, but you don't need to worry about that, about being precise, being very detailed with it, since the lightning effects are pretty spontaneous and random. So don't worry, I'll guide you through this very simple technique, and if you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. The colours we're going to be using are Sotek Green, Untitled Blue, Lothern Blue and White Scar. You can switch out some of those blues if you wanted to any other type of blues, but I've just found that these blues listed seems to be the most common ones that I paint with. Okay, so you need to grab your mini. So I'm going to be using another Tau drone shield here. Now this could be a shield off an Astartes or anything like that. It doesn't need to be circle, could be any shape, but I'm just going to use this as an example. So grab your mini, grab your brushes, grab your paints and your wet palette, and let's get to it. Okay, so the first color we're going to be using is the Sotek Green. We're going to use this as our first base layer, and at first I'm just going to use a glaze consistency here. So I'm using a 2-part water to 1-part paint, and I'm just dragging that pigment away from near towards the center, but not truly in the center of the shield. As you can see there, near towards the edge, and I'm just dragging that pigment all the way to the far edge of the shield there. And then I'm just kind of going over the edge here with a bit more paint this time. So we're going back to the 1-part paint, 1-part water, and I'm just going over the edge just to really bring out that Sotek Green. And what I'm going to do is here just take some time just going back and forth from applying the Sotek Green all the way around the edge, and then I'm going to go back to that glaze consistency and just start smoothing that Sotek Green towards the edge. Just keep applying the layers. It might take some time, but if you just keep applying it and be quite thorough with it, you'll get a great result. And don't forget to do the edges as well on the very edge. As you can see here on the sides of the mini, we need to make sure that we go around with the Sotek Green along there as well. So here I'm just highlighting the fact that I've got very bright Sotek Green around the edge, and it's not really blended in too well with the base color. So what I'm doing here is I'm going back to that glaze consistency, and I'm just gonna take it back a notch towards where the base color is, and I'm just going to slightly bring that pigment towards where it meets that Sotek Green, so there isn't a harsh contrast between the base color and the Sotek Green. Okay, for the next layer we're going to be using the Temple Guard Blue, and we're going to be using it with a 1 part paint, 1 part water sort of ratio here. You can kind of get an idea of the consistency I'm using on the wet palette. And all we're going to be doing at this point is just creating a nice light blue band around the far edge. You don't really need to be worried about blending it in at this point. That's the next step. All we want to do is just lift that far edges of the shield with a light blue area. Okay, so you should have a nice Temple Guard Blue band going around, and you can see now that there's a bit of a divide between that and the Sotek Green. So what we're going to do is mix the two together. So I'm going to grab some of my Temple Guard Blue and some of that Sotek Green, and then add a bit of water to it. Now you want it quite glazy at this point. You don't want to put it on too thick. You don't want to ruin some of that Temple Guard Blue that you put around. And I'm just going to follow that line going around. So this is easier because it's a circle, but if you've got a shield and a starty shield or something like that, just be aware of moving your brush. But yeah, just follow this round, and hopefully you should get a nice transition from that Sotek Green to the Temple Guard Blue. So once you got that nice smooth transition between the two, we're going to uplift that Temple Guard Blue on the far edge now with a glaze consistency. So we're going to go from the blend that you've just previously done, and now we're going to just move that pigment from there to the far edge, just to make that edge that little bit more brighter. Okay, so now we're going to do the fun part, which is creating these plasma effects on the far edge, as you can see here. So we're going to be using these little squiggly lines coming from the center, not too far from the center, but near the center, and they're going to slowly make their way to the edge. To do this, we're going to mix the paints that we used before, so the Sotek Green and Temple Guard Blue. I'm going to use a more of a watery consistency here, as well as changing the brush out. So I've changed it from a base brush to a more finer brush. This one that I'm using here is the Armor Painter fine detail brush. It just helps to get them lines more crisper and more finer on the edges. So I'm not going too far into the center. I'm kind of near towards the edge, like halfway between them. And the most important part about this bit is dragging that paint towards the edge. We don't want to go the other way, otherwise the point of the line that you're creating is going to have more of the paint on it. So we want to drag it away from the center towards the edge. And as we do this, we want to kind of give it more of a squiggly line. We don't want to go straight, and we want to give it a bit more of an organic feel to it, like a plasma effect does. And we're going to move it from the center to the edge, creating a bit of a shake as we do so. Okay, so now that you're happy with the squiggly lines going around the edge, this is optional, but what I've done here is I've gone straight into the middle of the shield, and I'm just dragging the squiggly lines towards the center. So I'm creating a bit of interest on the shield to make it look like the shield's around the actual object, as opposed to just being on the edge. This is optional, you don't have to do it. but just gives a bit of it more interest to the. Once you're happy with your plasma effect, we're now going to bring that blue just a little bit more lighter with the Lothern Blue this time, and we're just going to trace back onto your plasma effects that you've just previously done, and just go over them with a glaze consistency with the Lothern Blue. Don't forget to do the edge as well around the rim of the shield. So for this instance, I had to do an edge highlight all the way around by using the side of the brush and tilting the drone to one side. Okay, so we're going to be using the last color now, which is the white scar. You can use any white as long as it hasn't got a tint of beige to it, like wraithbone or ivory. Make sure it's a brilliant white, such as like a ceramic white, or or the white scar. Mix it in with your Lothern Blue, and we want to go for a glaze consistency with this. And we want to pick out certain parts of the miniature where you want your hotspots. You don't want to go crazy with this. You want to pick out certain areas where you want it to, where you want to see that lightning crackle as it emanates around the edge of your miniature. So here I'm choosing various different points of the plasma effect that we just did with the squiggly lines, and I'm just picking out certain areas where I feel like we want to create them hotspots. So I'm using them on the very edge. I'm using it directly on some of the lines, so I'm tracing some of the lines, and I'm also using it on the very points as well. If you have created a hotspot in the middle, don't forget to do it in the middle as well. This just lifts the hotspot in the middle just a little bit more as well. And there you go. So you should have something like this. If you really wanted to, you could actually go back to that white scar and just use it by itself and just pick out certain points, give it a few dots here and there just to really bring that plasma effect out a little bit more. But as it is, you can see here from the previous one, we've achieved a really great plasma energy shield sort of look. Hope you enjoyed this video, and if you do want to see more, like, subscribe, hit that notification button for the next video. I do have a plan on bringing out another how to paint video very soon, so stay tuned and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.